Senate Bill 1234 by Senator De Leon, enacting retirement savings plans and making an appropriation therefore.
Mr. Pro Tem.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Colleagues, I rise to present Senate Bill 1234, which moves California one step closer to the full implementation of the Secure Choice Retirement Savings Program. There are today in California nearly 7 million workers in the state that have zero, and let me repeat, zero access to retirement plans through their place of employment. Close to 50% of middle-income workers are, in fact, in California at risk of retiring into poverty. Just last week, the Pew Charitable Trust released a study about access to employer-based retirement plans in the nation's metropolitan areas. And the study found that 3 out of 4 workers in Los Angeles, that's 3 out of 4 workers in Los Angeles, do not have jobs that offer a retirement plan, either a traditional defined benefit plan or a defined contribution 401k style plan. More than 60% of workers in San Francisco, as well as San Diego and Sacramento, don't have access to such plans. This is also a women's issue here in California because 2/3 of the retirees in California who live in poverty are in fact women. And it is a millennial issue because each generation is expected to retire poorer than the last. 55% of young workers aged 25 through 44 have projected retirement incomes below 200% of the federal poverty level. The Secure Choice program is about helping hard-working Californians get on a pathway to self-sufficiency when they can no longer work. All workers should have the opportunity to build savings over their lifetimes and retire with a modicum of dignity and respect. The retirement crisis impacts all Californians, as these workers, when their bodies physically break down, they can no longer work and will need to rely on government assistance to survive. Now, nearly 4 years after the passage of the original Senate Bill 1234, I'm here with a newer, updated version of 1234. I know there's a handful of members on both sides of the aisle who were not privy to the vigorous debates and dialogue on this measure. Since the enactment of this bill, we have been steadily laying the groundwork to get to this point. The membership of the Secure Choice Board was appointed, and it has been meeting since September of 2013. Over $1 million that I raised from private sources to fund the legal services, as well as the mandated market analysis and feasibility study, was actually conducted. In the past few years, I've traveled to Washington, D.C. on numerous occasions to meet with White House officials, then Secretary of Labor Hilda Solis, and now Secretary Tom Perez at the Department of Labor, as well as with their legal teams. I have met with Treasury departments and undersecretaries at the Treasury, as well as other key officials on Capitol Hill. And just last year, and to his credit, to the credit of Secretary Tom Perez, but especially the President of the United States, Barack Obama, Mr. President directed the Department of Labor to issue regulations to clear a pathway for states to launch retirement programs for private sector workers. Last November, the draft regulations were released, and there will be an expansion of the safe harbor under the Federal Employee Retirement Individual Security Act, known as ERISA from 1974, for California to, in fact, move forward. This is a huge legal paradigm shift for states throughout the country. California should take credit for that because we were the ones who moved it in Washington, D.C., not statutorily through the Congress, but rather through the regulatory process. I want to score this federal action because current law prohibits the implementation of Secure Choice if it is deemed an employee benefit plan under ERISA. The new rule is expected to be issued in the upcoming months, and this will be, in fact, a tremendous victory. Early this year, in mid-March, the Secure Choice Board's independent market analysis and feasibility study was finalized with the essential finding that the program is financially viable and would be self-sustaining. Two very key important points. On March 28th, the Secure Choice Board voted on recommendations to the legislature, which are contained in Senate Bill 1234 that is before your consideration today. This year's Senate Bill 1234 reflects the Secure Choice Board's recommendations and also extends the time frame of the implementation of the program. What we're doing, colleagues, in effect, is we're creating a vital supplement to Social Security income that will impact positively the lives of millions of hard-working Californians. It is absolutely critical that we do this and do this right. We will need to ensure that the program is tailored for and meets the needs of workers. The vast majority of these workers are low and middle income, and they're highly fragmented, and it's a very hard to reach population. Bottom line is we will need to ensure that the payroll reduction IRAs offered by the Secure Choice program are the best deal possible for the participants. Through the leveraging of economies of scale, pooled investing, and extended investment horizons, the objective is minimize participant fees, minimize risk, and maximum possible income replacement. As the program design is finalized for employers offering the Secure Choice program for their employees, we will need to ensure that the process is, in fact, as simple as possible. For employers that want to explore other options, they will have that choice. There will be a retirement investment clearinghouse, which will have information about employer-sponsored retirement plans, payroll deductions, IRAs, annuities offered by other private providers. As Secure Choice rolls out, we will need to have a very robust education outreach programs for both employees as well as employers. So there's still a lot of work ahead of us, and California will be the first state in the nation to create a retirement savings program for the private sector workforce. Other states are watching us very, very closely, are in the wings, and will follow our lead. So with that, colleagues, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Discussion or debate? Senator Morlock.
Thank you, Madam President. As a certified public accountant and a certified financial planner, I want to say this is a very noble idea. And I applaud the author for his passion and concern. I have some reservations, and I'd like to share those if I could. Maybe the first one is that I'm a little nervous when the state gets involved in personal financial matters and becomes a conduit for investment plans, but I'm also concerned because during my career I had the pleasure of serving as chairman of a credit counseling nonprofit. So I know in Orange County that we have a lot of people that may be driving nice cars and owning nice homes, but they have massive debts and are living paycheck to paycheck, where every dollar is necessary to pay down high interest bearing credit cards. So we encouraged a lot of plastic surgery, you know, cutting credit cards. So we've got, I've had clients that had very high net worth as well. So I enjoyed the spectrum of personal finances. But for those that are, as we've stated, in the poverty zone, 40% of us that all of a sudden have to start having 3% taken out of their paychecks for this defined contribution plan, they will find it onerous, overbearing, and intrusive. And it will come as a major budget shock to them personally. And we've just asked employers, or we're forcing employers to raise the minimum wage. So we're already putting a lot on our employers and small businesses in this state. As the bill stands currently, I'm opposed, but I would love to see some modifications if we're going to implement. We should allow individuals to ramp in at a rate that works with their personal budgets. We should probably make it optional so that if you can't do it right now, or then that you're not demanded to participate. We need to look at those types of modifications. We also need to educate our workforce. I would recommend, if the state's going to start spending money, that we buy this little book. It's The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. I read it right out of college. It changed my life. And we should just send every taxpayer a copy of this book and just take an hour or two. We should actually maybe give them a link on the principles in this particular book, because we want people to be financially independent. We want them to retire with dignity. We want them to build estates. I get it. This is so critical, so important. But I'm not so sure that it's the state's responsibility. I'm not so sure we should be forcing this on employers. I think this is a difficult, awkward thing to do, as noble as it is. So again, I applaud the author, but I respectfully request a no vote on Senate Bill 1234.
Any further discussion or debate? Senator Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in enthusiastic and strong support for what I consider to be a major piece of legislation, not only for the state of California, but for those throughout the nation who don't have access to any retirement other than Social Security, which of course is under attack by those who don't think that people, when they age and if they haven't been able to accumulate a fortune, should have any hope of living their twilight years with any level of dignity. It's sort of what happened back during the Roosevelt years, and the reason that Social Security was created was to give people a safety net so that they could, in fact, during their final years, live with a roof over their head and be able to eat decent food, or at least food rather than cat food, as sometimes happens when people don't have the wherewithal to provide for themselves. So California, again, takes the lead, as it did with our pay equity bill that was passed. We're now on the forefront of expanding retirement security, which is another key women's issue. And I rise today both as the chair of the Legislative Women's Caucus and as someone who believes that people have a right to live with basic human dignity and basic levels of human creature needs, such as a roof over their head and food on the table. Women today comprise 55% of all seniors in California. They are more likely to live in poverty. Our demographics show that among seniors, they are the oldest seniors and most likely to outlive their savings, should they have any. And although we are making great strides in addressing the pay gap, another looming crisis is the wealth gap. For a working woman caregiver, the total average lifetime amount in lost wages, lost retirement, and reduced Social Security is a staggering $304,000. That is why the expansion of retirement savings opportunities is absolutely crucial. And with all due respect to my colleague, the CPA, who does remind us frequently that numbers do matter, the fact is that this is not an employer-generated effort. This is all employee contribution, not employer. And so let's focus on that. We are asking our employees to participate in a program that, as they age and as they leave the workforce or their ability to work is reduced and they enter their senior years, they will be able to do so with at least some savings that they can rely upon in order to live those last years with dignity. This is the next step in the implementation of California's Secure Choice program. It will give millions of workers that today have zero access to workplace retirement plans the opportunity to participate in one, to build a supplement to Social Security for when they can no longer work. This is also an opportunity for us to remember that if people aren't given those basic opportunities, they may very well call upon the state to assist them. This is a way that individuals can help themselves. I think this is a seminal piece of legislation. I want to again thank and applaud the author for bringing this bill to us here in California, which will hopefully serve as a template for the rest of the nation. Indeed, it used to be that most people worked and had retirement plans. Today, fewer and fewer employers provide them, or if they have provided them, they've been able to discharge them in bankruptcy. We have fewer and fewer people today who have any safety net for when they retire. This will get us back on track. It'll make it a contribution by individuals. It will help our women as they age. And with that, I urge your strong support for this measure.
Any further discussion or debate? Senator Stone.
Thank you, Madam President and members, and I appreciate the senator from Santa Barbara talking about the struggles of people that are retired, especially seniors. 55% of the seniors that live near poverty levels with the small amount of Social Security they get. And that was the motivation of one of my bills that would have frozen the property taxes of senior citizens when they were 65 years old, not allowing a 2% kick. But unfortunately, politics prevailed over protecting our seniors, and it was not allowed out of the Appropriations Committee so that we could sit on the floor here today and protect the senior citizens that are living in poverty throughout the state of California. My friends, so the government can't be a solution to every problem that we have in the state of California. The government should not be involved in providing private financial services that are already offered by the private sector. What we're going to do is we're going to be putting other businesses out of business by the state competing with these companies that specialize in providing 401ks and other retirement modalities to our citizens. It's unfortunate that two-thirds of the Americans today don't have at least $1,000 in their checking account and savings accounts. They're not making enough money to put away in the state of California. That's because of some of the onerous regulations that we've done in the state of California that's pushed the businesses out of the state and is squeezing the middle class as we go. And who, my friends, in their right mind would invest in the state of California government, especially after being rated dead last by the credit agencies, Standard & Poor's, Fitch Ratings, and we're rated 49th by Moody's. The small businesses presently today can use 401k services, and our goal is to provide more jobs that provide higher incomes by allowing more of our kids, in-state kids, to go to our colleges and universities so they can make more money and plan for their future. The step today is to embrace this defined benefit program in a state that has pension debt that is through the roof. Now today, we're talking about it being employee contributions, but this is just the first step in the master scheme. The next step is to require employers that are already burdened with trying to stay here in California with making contributions for this defined benefit program that is ultimately going to break the back of our private sector businesses that are providing benefits for the employees. But even worse yet, we're providing competition to financial services professionals in the state of California, putting a nail in the coffin and pushing them out of business here in the state of California. For those reasons, Madam President, I urge a no vote.
Any further discussion or debate? Senator Pan.
Thank you, Madam President. Senators, I rise in strong support for SB 1234. We heard this in the Public Employment and Retirement Committee. I want to congratulate the Pro Tem for his leadership in actually applying what the latest findings in behavioral economics. I actually appreciate the fact that the opposition brought up many of the arguments that actually should be calling for us to support this bill. The fact that we have low retirement savings, that this is actually, however, a option for people, and also that we need to encourage people to save for retirement early on, give them a vehicle that is actually not, that is portable, that goes with them, because we know that people nowadays often switch jobs, switch employers, and we certainly have a public interest to ensure that people have the savings they need to, during retirement, to have a dignified retirement, to have some savings. And that's certainly, hopefully, a public policy goal we can all agree on. So I just, again, want to stand in strong support and urge an aye vote on this very important bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion or debate? Seeing none, Senator De Leon.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and thank you, colleagues. And I enjoyed very much the dialogue, the debate on this topic. I have a lot of respect for our colleague from Orange County, because I know that he's steeped in a lot of fiduciary responsibility, given the role that you played, which was a very critical, important role in Orange County with the financial collapse in Orange County, and you helped lead it back into a little more, a much more certain pathway in Orange County. So I do appreciate and the perspective as well too. Just a couple things. One is giving folks choice is always a good thing, I believe. And the fact that the participants have an opportunity to opt out if they wish to do so, and they have that time frame to do so. So choice is always a good thing. You can't always promote the free markets or the values of the free markets and competition, and then they say then you no longer like competition. I think the reality is that the vast majority, I think a couple things were lost. Let me repeat a number again. 7 million Californians currently today have no access to any type of retirement security at their place of employment. That includes women, that includes men, Latinos, whites, African Americans, Asian Americans, Republicans and Democrats, Orange County, Riverside, San Bernardino, LA, and elsewhere. So that being said, with the current marketplace, with the products that are on the market, something is happening or not happening that's currently, they're not reaching that segment of the population. Therefore, this market currently does not exist. What we're doing is we're actually creating a market that does not exist today. So the argument about competition is a false argument because it's non-existent because, again, the market currently doesn't exist. And in fact, if those in the private sector were doing such a bang-up job, then this bill wouldn't be necessary. So this is about choice. It surely is about competition. And in fact, if you don't want to go through the California Secure Choice program, you'll have an opportunity to default to other types of programs. Being onerous with regards to or cumbersome on the employer, there's only an administrative duty that is required. We know for a fact, because it's established and written in the text of the measure, that the employer himself or herself will not be coughing up any of the resources. There is no match, because that's an ERISA issue. We have painstakingly worked with the lawyers in Washington, D.C., as well as here. This is a major victory in terms of the ERISA regulations that are going to come out with being in a safe harbor where states themselves have an opportunity to offer their own retirement program for employees who wish to participate. Now, given the state of politics in Washington, D.C., doesn't look like any time soon that there's going to be any type of relief for working Californians, or for that matter, working Americans. The vast majority of Californians in middle income, I should say 50% of them, will retire into poverty. So there are some fiduciary issues that we all collectively, and others that will be here when we're long gone, will have to deal with. We'll have to deal with these individuals who will work well into their 60s and 70s because they have no other type of stream of revenue to pay for their medications, to put the roof over their head, to keep the roof over their head, the clothes on their back. This is, in my estimation, truly a bipartisan measure. This is a Democrat-Republican measure. This is about self-sufficiency in personal responsibility, with the opportunity to opt out if you wish to do so, with no employer match at all whatsoever. If there was an employer match, it would be deemed illegal because of ERISA. This is an important bill for working Californians, especially those at the lowest economic strata, those who live in San Bernardino and Riverside and Central Valley, those who are going to really have a hard time retiring soon because they'll find out that they've never saved over a course of multiple horizons. And ultimately, we will have to deal with that tsunami that's coming on the horizon, that we will have to take care of them through numerous government financial services. This is patterned on the 529 plan that we currently have in the state of California, which is worth up to $6 billion worth of assets. And no one's suing. There's no litigation on the issue of ERISA. There is none. Colleagues, with regards to business support, and I just want to quickly highlight, and I'll finish it off here, we have the Asian Business Alliance, the California Black Chamber of Commerce, the Carson Black Chamber of Commerce, the Fresno Metro Black Chamber of Commerce, the Latin Business Association, the Latino Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce, the LA Metro Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Pico Rivera Chamber of Commerce, the Riverside County Black Chamber of Commerce, and I have that in writing because my understanding they never give any writing in support, the Small Business Majority, the South Asian Business Alliance Network, And just to name, I won't even go after all the unions and everyone else who are in support of this measure. So there is strong business support for this measure. Now, for those individuals, well, in Compton, the last time I checked, there's not, and I know that we have our senator here who represents Compton. Last time I checked, there is no Charles Schwab that someone can walk into in East LA or Boyle Heights. There is not T. Rowe Price where one can walk into and easily access a financial product, whether it's a 521, a traditional or a Roth IRA, or any other annuity program plan. That is proof that the private sector have not been willing to market the products to this segment of society, or not wanted to do it altogether, or they have failed altogether. This is proof positive that we can make savings much easier, and if they don't want to participate, then they have that choice to opt out. This is huge for all Californians, colleagues, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you very much. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen? Aye. Anderson? No. Bates? No. Bell? Aye. Berryhill? No. Block? Aye. Cannella? No. De Leon? Aye. Fuller? No. Gaines? No. Galgiani? Aye. Glazer? Aye. Hall? Hancock? Aye. Hernandez? Aye. Hertzberg? Aye. Hill? Aye. Hueso? Aye. Huff? No. Jackson? Aye. Lara? Aye. Leno? Aye. Leyva? Aye. Liu? Aye. McGuire? Aye. Mendoza? Aye. Mitchell? Aye. Monning? Aye. Morlock? No. Morell? No. Wynn? No. Nielsen? No. Pan? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Roth? Aye. Runner? Stone? No. Vidak? No. Wykowski? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Hall? Aye.
Please call the absentees.
Runner? Just got him.
Ayes 26, noes 13. The measure passes. File item 21.